Hello, welcome back, everybody, to another year of the Sunday Plodcast.
I'm Ollie Lum.
And I'm Matt Seddon.
Back in 2025 for our 5th season. You can expect more of this.
He's claiming that he was ill before the semi-final, whatever, but, you know, I just feel like at that point he was just looking for attention.
And some of this.
You normally say, no human is limited. So I can't limit myself, or I can't just say I can do.
As well as event coverage around all the major races on the UK circuit.
And if you're a fan of the pod, please give us a rating and review on your preferred podcast streaming service.
And if you want to stay up to date with all the latest news, give us a follow on Instagram at Sunday Plodcast.
As always, thanks for listening. See you next time. And we hope you enjoyed the episode.
Hello guys, and welcome back to the Sunday Plodcast, brought to you by sportsnews.com. As always, happy London Marathon Day, so good luck to those racing, or well done to those who have raced today. Hope it went well, and also enjoy to those of you watching. Matt and I certainly will be doing that ourselves. Obviously on the podcast this week, as you've seen from the title, Paddy Dever back on the pod. It's been 3-4 years since we spoke to Paddy last, and back in our first season, episode 29, and a lot's changed since then. So we really talked to Paddy about how the last 4 years has been, obviously graduating from Tulsa, turning pro with Puma, and then he's never really looked back, and he's run PBs of 13:04 over 5k, 27:08 over 10k, and doesn't look like he's stopping anytime soon, with some great half marathon performances in the low 60s as well recently. So look, we'll let Paddy do the talking. He talks a lot about his training setup with Alistair Cragg over in the US and his plans to move up to the marathon in the future. So enjoy this one, and we'll catch you guys very, very soon. Okay, Paddy, first off, thanks for joining us. Welcome back. We did have a look, mate. 2021 was the last time we had you on, episode 29 for us. And pre-NCAs where you then beat Conor Mantz, actually. So quite a nice round trip after his performance in Boston, right?
Yeah, that was definitely a nice scalp to have now, especially considering how well Conor's been doing the last year or so. So yeah, it's good to be back on.
Yeah, and a big 4 years for you as well. So we basically want to chat, I guess, about those 4 years really, and kind of signing for Puma out of college, moving to Alistair Cragg, and you haven't looked back, mate. You've been flying ever since. And talk about the setup at Puma Elite, and kind of how you kind of signed there, and then how it's been going.
Yeah, so like you said, signed pretty much. I think like a few months after leaving Tulsa that summer. Obviously went really well for me, winning NCAs and then winning British trials. Unfortunately, wasn't quite able to make it to the Olympics that time. But I think the fact that the next one was just 3 years away was, I don't know, it was kind of nice. It didn't have to wait that full 4 year cycle. But then moved out to North Carolina, and the team was definitely in its infancy when I first moved out there, and since then had a lot of new training partners come in, and I feel like this is definitely the strongest the team's been, just with some of the race results we've had recently and some of the new people who've joined the group. So yeah, it's an exciting time to be part of Puma Elite.
No, it is. And obviously, I think we're right in saying Rowe is obviously now, he's a member of the group as well. So we'll get onto that. But look, Alistair Cragg, the head coach, he probably was a household name to you, and you'd obviously probably heard of him. But I think for a lot of us over here, not too many were sort of aware of like where he came from and sort of how he landed that role. So you're right, just give a little background about him.
Yeah, so Alistair knows Pascal, who's I think he's the sports marketing director for running at Puma, and he knows him really well. And I think how the team was started initially was, it was kind of like their brainchild, and Alistair and Amy kind of scouted the US for, I think they took a road trip and basically had free reign of where they wanted to set up this team, and eventually settled on North Carolina. But it's great to have Alistair and Amy as the coaches, just because I feel like it's they never ask you to do anything that they never did in their career, and if they're telling you to run a certain way, I just go back and look at some of the races, and Alistair and Amy put themselves in definitely through a lot of pain in some of the races they went at it. So I feel like it's just, I don't know. I'm really happy to be coached by those two.
Mate, so That's interesting. So yeah, they basically, Puma said, yep, give you the green light to make a group. Where do you want to set up? And that's what you mean by they scout the US to find a good location. Why was North Carolina so good? Why was that the place?
So from my understanding, I think it was because so for one, I don't think they wanted to be based at altitude year round. So it was kind of like the approach where the regular base is at sea level, and then we'll do altitude camps throughout the year as we target certain big races. And I feel like it's just, I don't know, I feel like it's a pretty good spot for weather year round. I mean, in the summer, it definitely gets pretty brutal here. So it's nice when you're racing track, especially because you can kind of get out of here during the summer. But I think this past fall or whatever, I feel like every time we had a workout, the weather was like, it was never like in the UK where you have to motivate yourself to get out if it's chucking it down with rain, or I don't know, it's dark. It's I feel like the weather definitely helps with that motivation. And then yeah, we just got some pretty good spots to run here. We've got the American Tobacco Trail, which is, I think it's about 21 miles. There's probably about a 7 or 8 mile section that's all like nice dirt, and then the rest of it is like half, well, not quite the rest of it, but a good chunk of it is like half pavement, half dirt. So you can kind of, I don't know, you can get your soft surface in, or you can get on there when you do some road workouts as we have been doing the last few months. Yeah, it's pretty good. And then we're able to use UNC's track, which is nice. And yeah, Alistair has a good relationship with the coach at UNC, so yeah, they're very accommodating. So I feel like this is as good of a spot as any.
For sure, and talk a bit about the brand as well, because Puma obviously massive company and have always been in running and in athletics, but I think in the last 3-4 years since you signed, they've really taken off in terms of like some of the signings they've made, and even just the kit and the gear as well. It's just gone on to another level. And now you look at Puma and it's one of the biggest competitors like out there.
Yeah, for sure. I think just like you were saying. So I've never actually been at a major marathon before, and just being in Boston this past weekend and seeing all the promotional activities that Puma were doing, and just like all the hype behind the new Fast R3, which, I mean, I'm quite fortunate that I'm test size, so I get to kind of communicate with the people who are like making the shoes, making the spikes. Yeah, I feel like every time I talk to those people, they're really invested in making sure that we have the best gear and the best shoes and spikes. And I don't know, I feel like there's a real, I just feel like the people who work there are great, and that like, yeah, they're really wanting to push Puma forward and make sure we're able to compete with these other brands. And I don't know, stand on the start line and really feel like you're as good as if not better now, especially with the Fast R3 than the competition. And it just it just really gives you belief that the company's heading in the right direction. And I'm just glad to be partnering with them throughout this time.
Crikey, your test size, how many prototypes have you worn in the last couple of years?
Yeah, quite a few. I feel like especially with spikes, I'm always getting the newest spikes. And I was quite lucky because I got a pair of the Fast R3s like a few weeks before anyone else on the team got them, which was funny because I was the only one. I was like one of the only guys in the group who wasn't racing a marathon, and I feel like those guys needed it before I did. But yeah, I'm not. It's a bit tough as well because I'm not like, I don't know. I feel like I'm not super picky with like the shoes, so I'm probably not the best person to be given the feedback. So I don't know. I don't know all the technical aspects too well, but I do my best to try and make sure
they probably appreciate that more though, just like that kind of just raw honesty. Like what you do know is if a shoe feels good or it doesn't. And so hey, if you like your Puma spikes or your Puma Fast Stars, you can thank Paddy for that because he's had a lot of input. It's cool. I want to know a little bit more about, obviously, that base in North Carolina, but also, we touched on Alistair Cragg a little bit, that relationship you've got with him, because you talk about they sort of scouted the US to find that location. How did you join the team? Did they sort of scout the US and the NCAs to approach you and get you signed on and other athletes, etc.?
Yeah, I remember it was after cross country nationals in 2021. I think I was fifth there, and I never raced a 10K on the track. But Alistair reached out to my Tulsa coach, and I was like I was pretty taken aback at the time, because my plan was just to come back to the UK and keep running. And I don't know, I never really thought about going professional. I suppose, having that good result, it was becoming a little bit more of a reality. But he just kind of got in there early, started talking to him. I really liked just like what he was trying to achieve with the group. And I know he's worked with some great coaches in the past, like Jerry and his college coach. Yeah, his old college coach, John McDonnell. I think he won the most NCAA titles out of any coach. And I know he was definitely pretty tough with those guys. So I feel like Alistair definitely brings that through a little bit with us. But I feel like, I don't know, because he kind of saw that potential in me, and I just liked his vision. I think we just hit it off, and I was like pretty set on it, I would say.
And one thing, obviously, recently you run a couple of half marathons, so there is, and you mentioned obviously the marathon guys in the group. You're starting to dip your toe in. Is that purely in support of what you're doing on the track, or is that kind of with an eye on the future as well?
I think definitely with an eye on the future. Alice has always, I think he's probably been telling me for like the last 1 or 2 years that he wants to get me in a marathon, and I think I don't know. I feel like the biggest thing for me was because I feel like I've had good results on the track, but I feel like I've never been able to have my absolute best showing at major championships, which I suppose is that's the hardest thing to do in the sport, to be at your best when it like really, really matters. So I think that part of me is like why I don't want to be completely finished with the track. But I mean, the idea of getting into a marathon and kind of, well, I feel like as the half marathons have gone so well, I know the marathon is another step up from that, but I feel like with the training partners I have right now, we have such a good, you mentioned Jack before, and we have other guys like Alex Mayer, who's on a tear right now, and obviously Pat just ran Boston. We have another guy, Peter Lynch, who's my old Tulsa teammate, who's also targeting the marathon. So I mean, with those group of guys, it's kind of hard to push back too much, because I feel like when you've got that in front of you, you definitely should take advantage of it, because I do want to be, I'm here because I want to train in a group, and I feel like training in a group, especially for the longer distances, is how you get the best out of yourself. So I think, I feel like I'll be running a marathon sooner rather than later, but I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure what exactly that's going to be yet. And I kind of spoke with Alistair about how we can do like a little bit of a hybrid approach, because I don't really think if I do move to the marathon, I don't really feel like I can be super competitive over 5K anymore, but I feel like 10K probably still can work. And I don't know, I really want to go under 27, and I don't know, maybe even try and get close to that British record in the 10K one day. And I feel like that's probably the shape it takes to be competitive in one of those global 10K championships. Maybe like 26:40, maybe even honestly quicker. Yeah, I think if I do move to the marathon, I'd want to still try and run the 10K a little bit, but I don't know. I still feel pretty young in the sport, so that I don't know. I feel like I have a few years, but with an eye on the next Olympics. Alistair's viewpoint was that kind of it's almost good to get a marathon in sooner rather than later, because then you can kind of know like where to aim for that Olympics. It might be that, I don't know, the marathon doesn't go well or whatever, and then I might have to turn my focus back to the 10K, but I don't know. I feel like from speaking with other people who've run marathons, and I've kind of been doing a little bit of the marathon guys training, just not really like the super long runs, which I suppose is like a pretty key component of the training. But I feel like I could be be pretty good at it, and I know it's not one where you can just jump into your first one, and well, I guess some people can, but I feel like there's definitely a lot more of a learning curve to it, just with there's more variables, you've got fueling to consider, and it is just such a long way that you have to have really prepared your body and your mind well enough to handle that distance. But yeah, I don't know if that really answers your question a little bit.
It does. And it sounds like the group is very much turning into a bit of a road group, and a bit of a sort of half marathon setup. Are you one of the few left sort of wanting to operate on the track? Especially.
Yeah, so we have a few guys. So on the guys' side, we have Amon Kemboy. He actually raced the 5K with me this past weekend, and I feel like he's a bit of a hybrid guy. He could probably step up to the marathon, or he could go down all the way to like the
15.
The 15, or even I think he's ran like 146 and 800 as well. So he's just kind of a jack of all trades. And then we have Mick as well, who's recently dipped his toe in the steeplechase. I think he was fourth in the Australian champs. So, and then on the ladies' side, we have a track group. But I'd say probably more than half of the team are on the roads now.
Gearing towards it. Mate, I want to ask, you ran two terrific half marathons, 60 low and both at 60-11 and basically the same in New York. Looked horrendous, by the way, the conditions there. What was behind that such success on the roads? Because I think, you must have been looking at New York and thinking, crikey, I must be in 59 mid-shape or something in that region.
Yeah, I think so. Honestly, I think a lot of it was to do with, it was just racing against Conor Mantz, because I feel like he just, I don't know. I feel like if you watch like both of those races back, Houston and New York, I feel like he was the guy who was he basically told everyone what he was going to do before Houston. He was going to shoot for the American record. And I think in training, we tried to prepare as much as possible to be in that like 60 minute shape. I mean, after one of my teammates, Amon, was actually pacing that race, and like after the first mile, I think he was maybe like a couple of seconds slow, and then the guys were basically just telling him to get on it, and then it was kind of like it was just straight from the gun. And I feel like New York was even crazier, because I thought I was pretty aggressive in Houston. I think I went through 10K. What did I go through 10K? Maybe like 28:10, 28:15 in Houston, and then New York. That was crazy. I think we passed through the 10K mark in maybe like 27, 40. 49 or something. So at that point I knew, I was like, I think that's like 58 pace, and the second half is definitely quite a bit tougher. So I knew we weren't going to keep that up, but it was just I want to try and throw myself in races with the top guys and really learn what it takes to compete on the roads. So and I think just the instructions from Alistair as well, it was just like, like, we know you're in a good spot with training. You just got to go for this and try not to think about, I don't know, it sounds easier said than, but just try not to think about if you can just get through the mile that you're in the moment. And I think in both of I know in New York, I definitely slowed down a lot in the last couple of miles. I was like struggling quite a bit there. But I think when I saw Alistair at like maybe 10 miles or so, I was still on pace to break 60 and just faded away. But I don't know. I think if you just keep putting yourself in those positions, eventually one day the body will be feeling good, and you'll just hopefully just hang on and get the result that you really want. But
That's good. Do you and Mance have a little bit of a rivalry? You see him as like, back in those NCAA days. I guess like we used to say this about Hayward and Jakob, that's aged well, hasn't it, Lum? But Hayward used to claim that, because he grew up with Jakob through the age groups and he actually beat him in that Euro under 20s one time, that he didn't really fear him like everyone else. And maybe you're similar with Mance.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I think it has been a while since. I think I beat him in 2 10K. Well, no, I know I beat him in 2 10K track races, and I think that's it. And he's been way ahead on the roads the last few times we've raced. But I don't know. I like to think that he's someone that I can eventually compete with again. I think, especially on the longer distances on the road, I just have to start kind of putting in that training now, getting those long runs in, and I feel like some improvement should come from that. Yeah, probably not as much as a rivalry anymore, but we'll see. Maybe again in the future.
Yeah. Mate, on I guess stepping up to the roads and look, I'm super excited, and I'm sure Matt is as well, to see how you get on when you do run a marathon. But I can only feel like it's a bit of a shame that our best 10K guy feels like he needs to step up to the roads, and is I guess part of the selection policy and the way the kind of Olympic team was selected last year. Does that play into that a bit, like not being able to go to Paris in the 10K last year? If I can ask that. Yeah,
maybe a little bit. And then, I don't know, maybe some of it is just, as much as I don't want to admit, maybe some of it is just like, I don't know if I quite have the closing speed to be really competitive on the track, or as competitive as I would like to be. Whereas in the marathon, I don't know that. Maybe when I jump into it, I take to it really well and I'm able to be more competitive. But I suppose, yeah, it's just like trying to find where I feel like I can have the most success. And as I like mentioned a little bit before, I'm kind of hoping I can do a little bit of like a hybrid approach. But yeah, obviously a lot of that will hinge on whether the first marathon goes and how much of a taste I get for it. I feel like when you go to these major road races, it's hard to go back to some of the track races just because it's such a big event, and they take care of you so well. Yeah, I don't know. You might even get like an appearance fee, or like, which is, I guess, something that kind of can entice you a little bit more. And yeah, I feel like being on the roads is probably more valuable for the sponsor as well, just because of the kind of publicity these major marathons get, and the fact that you are able to race in your sponsor's kit rather than your national kit. So I think there are a few factors, but yeah, I don't want to be fully done with the track. And I feel like sometimes if you jump up to the higher volume of training, you never know, it might benefit you on the 10K side of things. As I've been doing the half marathon stuff and the longer stuff a little bit more, I definitely feel I'm in as good as, if not better, 10K shape than I was last year. And I've still been speaking with Alistair about, maybe hopefully getting in that British Champs 10K in June. And yeah, I don't know, because I really do value trying to fight for those British titles. I feel like those are really important, and something that at the end of my career I'll definitely look back on and be really proud of.
Yeah, I can definitely, not relate because I haven't been there, but understand why athletes fall in love with the roads. I mean, you look at Boston, on TV, it's mesmerizing on TV, let alone if you're there. And, like you said, the noise, the whole weekend. But I think also for athletes, it gives them a chance to compete at the highest level sort of twice a year, whereas the track, it's like, well, especially if you're a 10K runner, there's not really any diamond leagues, and then it's like, maybe you've got a championships to aim for, but then you've got all the qualification and the politics to go into that, and it is difficult. But yeah, I want to know, so you mentioned a little bit about that next Olympic cycle. Post Paris, I would have thought it was kind of you sit down with Alistair there and then, and you then just you try and map out the next 4 years. But was it a lot more open ended than that? Was it kind of like, right, where do we go in the next 6 months? What do we do? What did that discussion look like?
Yeah, so I feel like, Alistair is very much someone who likes to have that bigger picture all planned out, and I'm someone who very much likes to keep my options open. So I probably don't always help him as much as I should do there. I feel like, I was kind of like hedging my bets with like trying to run the 10K and the half marathon, especially with those being too close, and I can understand why that didn't work out. I think he always wanted me to get the marathon in, but I think he's just waiting for me to say it, that I like fully want to commit to it and I want to attack it and be ready to do it. So I've spoke with him about that the next few years, I suppose. But the thing I like with Alistair is the plan is very. He likes obviously having the big goal, but the plan is very. He doesn't mind like pivoting, and if I'm looking good in training, it might be like, all right, we'll get you in this race or this race, which I don't mind too much. I feel like, yeah, as long as the training's going well and I'm staying healthy and moving forward, I don't necessarily mind that I don't know exactly what I'm doing over the next 2 years. But yeah, I think when I run a marathon, I'll know a lot more how those next 2 years look, because obviously the window for the marathon qualification would be, it would be quite a bit bigger than the track window, I'd presume. So we'd have to plan out when that marathon would need to take place, where you're going to try and get the time, or because I'm not sure what the time will even be for that, or maybe qualify on world ranking or whatever it may be. But then so to answer your question, I don't really know exactly what the next couple of years is going to look like. It's still up in the air a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like a pretty good way to be honest. Like, you seem pretty relaxed about the whole thing. I'm sure there's some pros out there who know exactly when those windows open and are stressing about that already. So it's good that you've got options. But look, what are the kind of key pillars of the training methods for Alistair Cragg and the group? Obviously, we kind of mentioned he's inspired quite a lot by Jerry, and it's almost been documented that you like the new age of the BTC, perhaps. But what does it look like?
So I'd say like a typical week in this fall has been something like we would do like a long track workout on maybe like, I'll say, for example, like on the Wednesday. And that would be like, I guess, I don't know how much Alistair wants me to give away, but basically it's like a lot of...
Everything. He wants you to say everything.
We've been doing a lot of track tempos, a lot of mile reps, 2 mile reps. And the thing that I really like with Alistair's training is even with the marathon guys, he likes intensity. We're running at a pretty good pace, I feel like, for a lot of the miles, which I feel like nowadays for the marathon you kind of need to be doing. Like in Boston yesterday, I don't know, when John Career made his move, he's probably, I don't know, I think it was it up one of the hills, but he's still running under 4:30 pace. So it's like you kind of have to get running those 420 mile repeats for maybe not quite 420, but like 423, 424. And then on the Friday we would do more of like a speed, like turnover day, which I think Jack mentioned it in his other podcast. That was when we were training for the 5K, but obviously it's all relative. So when you're training for the longer stuff, the speed is not going to be like, I don't know, sub 60 pace, but it might be more like K pace. So it might be 64s or whatever, or even a little bit quicker. I feel like the quicker you can do that stuff, the better. It just makes you a little bit more efficient when you're running the half marathon pace or even marathon pace. So I do like that part about the training, and then we would have a long run, either like a long run for time or like a long run workout. And then the long run workout varies a lot. It might be like a bit of a warm up, and then like a big block of like tempo miles, or kind of like in and out miles. I feel like a lot of people do stuff like that, but the main thing there is just callousing your body to the longer stuff. But I think the longest run I've done this fall is probably only like 19 or 20 miles, which I definitely still have some way to go to get up to those 26 milers like some of the other guys have been doing, because I suppose you gotta teach the body how to manage the distance at some point. But I do really like the training, and I feel like it really works with me. I feel like even though you're running on the roads, it's good to just do stuff on the track, because like I said a little bit, the pace that you have to run on the roads nowadays, it's you've got to stay in touch with track legs to be able to be competitive in some of these races.
So the fundamentals are a long tempo track session a speed session and then a good effort on your long run, a good bit in and out work on the long run. That are they the sort of 3 days you go hard and then the kind of rest of the time it's just that supplement easy running?
Yeah, I'd say so. Just a lot of easy running. I don't run too many miles compared to some of the other guys. The big thing Alistair is always telling me is like basically don't really move your mileage too much until you've got the sessions down and you're handling those well. So I do quite like that. One thing I've kind of in the past, I probably didn't do this as much, but I go pretty easy on the doubles. I feel like just partly because you're tired from the hard workouts and partly because I feel like if I'm doing my main run for the day, if it gets a little bit quicker towards the end, then that's fine. But the doubles, I just really want to use that as like time on feet and really like just pure recovery, not really trying to gain too much fitness. And I think when I eventually do a marathon, I'll try and slot in a few more of those doubles and just really try and just get used to running on pretty tired legs. But I kind of like how a lot of the Kenyan guys do it, where they treat the evening run, or as far as I understand it, talking to my Kenyan teammate, he always says whenever we go out for a double, it's always like, oh, he'll only run with me if we go like slow enough. Basically, if I want to run a bit quicker than that, he'll be like, no, I'm going to go by myself.
Yeah. So that morning run is often a little stronger. Is it kind of like a bit of a progressive?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it kind of depends who I'm running with. Like we have some people in the group who might like to take it a bit easier, and then other people who just naturally like pick it up towards the end of the run. I find that if I'm ever running by myself, I normally just, if I didn't really look at my watch, I feel like I'd probably progress pretty much every mile, and then I'd get to a point where like I just keep the pace as what it is. Like I don't push anymore, but I do like. If I run by myself, that's my favorite way to run. Just finish the run at the quickest pace that you're doing for that run. But yeah, if I'm running with someone else, I'm not going to be too fussy really about that.
Yeah. What is that pace for someone like yourself?
So I feel like a nice sweet spot for me is probably averaging like, I don't know, 6:40, 6:45 maybe for like a 10-mile, 70-minute run. Yeah, and then that will obviously, the first mile, I definitely like to warm up into it. So it might be, I don't know, it might be like 8 minutes or 7:30 or something. And then, yeah, I try not to stress too much about the pace on the easy run, just pay more attention to how my body is feeling. And I feel like as long as your heart rate's in a good enough spot and it's not going too high. Because in the past I've definitely tried to, I don't know, run a bit harder on my easy runs, and I feel like that only really serves to, I don't know, I feel like you can run yourself into the ground a little bit, as I have done at some points over the last couple of years. So yeah, I feel like with easy running, it's I'm not too fussy if I have to run slow for a few days to feel good.
Absolutely. One thing we didn't, that's great by the way, one thing we didn't touch on quite enough, I think, was just that Paris experience. Obviously there was a weird thing with the selection. You almost got like announced for the 10K, but then obviously you didn't hit the quota, which was that a bit of a knock going in to Paris? Like, would you have rather run the 10K? But then obviously then you run the 5. You know, you probably wanted a bit more out of yourself in the heat. So yeah, how was Paris and everything around that Olympics?
The experience itself, was incredible, and just the whole buzz around the games. It was so, I felt so lucky to be that Olympics. And I spoke to your brother Zach a little bit about his Olympic experience in Tokyo, and obviously it was
terrible.
It was terrible for him. So I was like, I don't know, the whole experience, I was so lucky to have like a full stadium and just such a good like village experience. So that side of things was great, and that was probably bigger than I could have imagined when I was growing up in the sport. But I think I would have rather run the 10K and the 5K. Yeah, obviously got that second spot at the trials, so got selection for that. I think when you're in, especially as they got rid of the fastest losers, there's like no incentive to push the pace on at all, and I'd kind of pushed the pace on in a couple of the races that I had been in before, and I don't know, this time I was like, no, I'm just gonna try and like sit in and respond to the moves, and I just didn't really have it on the day. I think because it was so slow and it turned into probably a less like a 1K race or even less. It was I was just a bit out of my depth there, and that was definitely disappointing, but it's definitely given me the motivation to go again and really just try and figure out how I can be at my best at an Olympics. Yeah, I mean, it was cool to watch some other people's performances, like especially on the guys' side, like see Josh get another medal and see Emil get so close. So yeah, I feel like those guys are kind of showing how you can do it, and got some time now to try and get myself as ready as I can do to try and be at those next games in the best shape of my life.
Yeah. Speaking of watching your teammates, obviously Jack's going on Sunday. Have you got any inside scoops for us?
I know he's been putting in a lot of miles. Yeah, he's definitely ready. I think I'm pretty excited for him. We've been doing a big block of work together because a few of the guys on our team went up to altitude for a month, but because me and Jack were racing New York, we kind of did most of the stuff together. So I was helping him out in some bigger sessions, and he's been helping me out on some of the shorter stuff where we're running quicker for 1Ks or whatever. So I'm really excited for Jack. I think he's put in the work, and now hopefully we get to see a big debut from him this weekend. I'm excited to see go against some of the other Brits. So it'll be good, like Mohammed and Phil. Those guys. So I think it should be a good race between those.
Who's in better shape? Who is winning the workouts between Jack Rowe and Pat Tiernan?
I'm trying to think how many workouts they actually did together. I think in marathon training, I feel like it's a lot of back and forth where some days you're the one getting dropped and some days you're the one taking it to the other guys. So we've definitely had some sessions where Jack has been in the one pushing the pace along, and then I don't know. I think everyone's managed the training pretty well. We got some boys running Dusseldorf on the same day, so hopefully.
Wow.
Hopefully, and ladies actually, Rose is doing London, and I have another teammate running Dusseldorf as well. So we got a big squad of marathoners going on Sunday.
It's going to be a big weekend. Just to finish up then, it sounds like you guys, you don't utilize altitude training too much. Is that fair? And if so, why not?
Yeah, I don't know. I think last year I utilized it quite a bit. I went up there before I ran the 5K standard. I went up there before the night of the 10Ks, and I went up there before the Olympics. So I had like mixed success with it. But I think Alistair's big thing is having it line up with the race that you're going for, and then having guys to train with as well, because it's like that trade-off where, like, if I have a certain race to aim for at this point, but a couple of the other guys I'm training with maybe don't, then would it make sense for me to go up to altitude by myself, or have the guys to train with? So I definitely think I'll be utilizing it. Like I don't know, if we can figure out where I'm really going to attack something and it lines up with other people in the training group, I feel like we'll utilize it then. Yeah, I definitely do think it helps a lot, and I do want to utilize it going forward. And I think Alistair, I'm pretty sure Alistair does as well. So it's just about figuring out when the right time to do it is, and we're not just going to do it for the sake of it or whatever. So there's definitely a lot of thought that goes into it. But yeah, so
Yeah. Good stuff, mate. And then just to wrap up, then where can we see you race next, mate? What's next on the calendar?
that's a good question. I don't actually. So kind of like how I was talking about before, I don't really have a super defined schedule. I think because I've been going since training hard since maybe like mid-November, I'm actually going to take a bit of a down week now. Had a couple of days off after the 5K, and I'll probably just run easy this week. And then, yeah, I will hopefully be on the track at some point in June. I feel like, I don't know if there'll be anything before then, but yeah, hopefully on the track at some point in June. What race that's going to be is to be determined, but yeah, we'll figure it out.
We'd love to see you at that British 10,000 meter trial in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And we'd love to see you there. I'd love to see you at the Liverpool again. I'd love to see you run the World Cross next year. That would be great if you do all of those and the World Champs. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah. Hopefully, with the World Cross being in the US, I feel like
you guys have got to go for it.
It'd be silly to not do that one. It was the same with the World Roads, but obviously now it's up in the air as to where it's gonna be, because it was supposed to be in San Diego.
I guess you're looking at cracking a few records now. Like, you must be looking at that British half record, that British 10K record. You must have. I'm surprised you didn't try and attack that somewhere already, to be fair.
Yeah. I think, I definitely do think I'm capable of getting a couple of those records. And then I think other people, well, I mean, obviously this year, a few guys were right around the 10K record, and Rory obviously got it. Yeah, hopefully we can tee some races up in the future and try and have a crack at some of those records. It would be nice. But yeah, we got some time, so we'll see.
Good stuff. Well, mate, we're looking forward to seeing you race wherever you do. Thanks so much for chatting to us, as always.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me on, guys. Good to talk to you.